For the past 11 years, I've been tracking food regulations and ingredient bans across North America and the EU. While everyone's panicking about what's already banned, I've been quietly watching what's about to disappear from shelves starting April 2026. Number 14 is sitting at your local grocery store right now for under $6. And once these new laws kick in, you won't see it again for years, maybe ever. The problem is that when everyone reads the same headlines and focuses on the same products, they miss the stuff that's actually getting axed. Back in 2018, I watched trans fats get phased out. Most people focused on margarine, but specialty baking fats, certain candy coatings, gone overnight, and nobody saw it coming. If you're just finding this, hit subscribe right now, because what I'm about to walk you through isn't speculation. These are confirmed regulatory changes, and the clock is ticking. Let me start with something that's going to make zero sense until I explain it. Number 1. Certain artificial food colorings, specifically Red 3 and Red 40. Before you think this is just about candy, listen. Red 3 is in more than half of all maraschino cherries, certain cake mixes, specific brands of canned frosting, and about 40% of brightly colored breakfast cereals. Starting April 2026, products containing these dyes cannot be manufactured or imported into the United States. Here's what nobody's talking about. Stockpiling cherries sounds ridiculous until you realize that every single holiday baking recipe your family has used for 30 years might depend on them. Last Christmas, I used a jar of maraschino cherries that I bought 2 years ago. Still perfect. They last indefinitely when unopened. The new formulations that replace Red 3 won't taste the same. I've tested the European versions that already switched to natural dyes. They're fine, but they're different. And if your grandmother's pineapple upside-down cake has used the same cherry since 1987, you're going to notice. Here's what I do. Buy 5 jars right now. They're $2.50 at most grocery stores. Store them in a cool, dark cabinet. Rotate through them over the next 5 years. By the time these laws kick in, manufacturers will have switched formulations, and you'll never taste the original again. Why this survives initial panic buying? Because most people think this is a health win and don't realize they're losing access to a specific flavor profile they've known their entire lives. Look, grocery prices aren't just rising, they're becoming unpredictable as regulations shift what can even be sold. I've done the math for you and put together a free emergency pantry blueprint that lists the exact items you must grab before April, broken down by category and storage method. It can keep your family eating normally for 6 weeks and cost less than 3 takeout dinners. You can grab it for free at the link in the description so you can stop second-guessing every grocery run and start actually protecting your family's access to the foods you depend on. Number 2, brominated vegetable oil or BVO. This one's in specific citrus-flavored sodas and sports drinks. Mountain Dew, certain Gatorade flavors, some Powerade varieties, and about a dozen smaller brands. BVO is what keeps the flavoring from separating and floating to the top. Starting April 2026, it's banned. The replacement formulations are already in testing, but they don't stabilize the same way. I talked to a guy who works in beverage distribution, 23 years in the business. He told me the new versions of these drinks have a shorter shelf life and a slightly different mouthfeel. If you're someone who drinks these regularly or you've got kids who won't touch anything else, this matters. Here's the move. Buy a case of your specific favorite flavor right now. Not the generic Mountain Dew, but the exact product code you actually drink. I bought 12 bottles of original formulation sports drink last month. Stored in my basement. 62 degrees. No sunlight. They'll last 18 months easily, maybe 2 years. Cost me $24. The new formulations will be fine for most people, but if you're particular, this is your last window. And here's the kicker. Most people don't even know BVO exists, which means these products are sitting fully stocked right now, while everyone's distracted by other shortages. Number 3 is going to sound boring until you realize what it actually means. Potassium bromate, used in specific bread flours and commercial baking mixes. This is the ingredient that makes certain breads extra fluffy and gives them that perfect commercial texture. King Arthur flour doesn't use it. Most home baking flours don't, but certain regional brands do, And more importantly, specific bulk commercial flours sold at restaurant supply stores contain it. If you've ever wondered why your homemade sandwich bread doesn't taste like the bread from that one bakery you love, this is probably why. Starting April 2026, it's banned. Here's what I did. I identified the 2 specific flours I use that contain potassium bromate. One's a restaurant supply brand I buy in 25-pound bags for $4 a bag. I bought 4 bags last month, stored in food-grade buckets with gamma lids in my garage. Flour lasts about 8 months at room temperature in proper storage, longer if you freeze it. I'm not saying hoard a decade's worth. I'm saying if there's a specific baking mix or flour you depend on for a recipe that matters to your family, check the ingredient list this week. If it says potassium bromate, buy 3 bags. Use them over the next year. After April 2026, that exact product won't exist anymore. Why this survives panic buying? Because most people don't read ingredient lists on flour, and the idea of stockpiling flour sounds extreme until you realize it's about preserving a specific taste you can't replicate any other way. Number 4, propylparaben in certain tortillas and flatbreads. This is a preservative that extends shelf life in specific brands of flour tortillas, pita bread, and naan. Not all brands use it. Mission tortillas don't, for example, but several regional and store brands do. I found it in a Walmart Great Value brand and 2 different Hispanic market house brands. It's what allows those tortillas to sit on a shelf for 45 days without refrigeration. The ban starts April 2026. The replacement preservatives are more expensive and less effective, which means post-ban tortillas will either cost more or require refrigeration, or both. Here's the play. Find the specific tortillas you actually buy and check the ingredient list for propylparaben. If it's there, buy 10 packages. Freeze them. I did this last year during a different shortage scare. Froze 20 packages of tortillas. Pulled one out every 2 weeks. They thawed perfectly. Tasted identical to fresh. Total cost was $32. If you eat tortillas twice a week, that's 5 months of supply. The new formulations will be fine, but they'll be different. And if you've got picky eaters or you use a specific brand for a recipe, this is your window. Number 5 is something I didn't even know existed until I started researching these bans. Azotocarbonamide, or ADA, used as a dough conditioner in certain sandwich breads, bagels, and burger buns. Subway famously removed it from their bread back in 2014 after public pressure, but still in about 30% of commercial bread sold in grocery stores. I checked my local Safeway last week. 8 out of 22 bread brands on the shelf contained it. Starting April 2026, it's banned. Here's why this matters. ADA is what makes commercial bread stay soft for a week without going stale. The breads that use it have a specific texture and shelf life that home bakers can't replicate. If you've got a specific burger bun or hot dog bun your family loves, check the ingredient list. If ADA is listed, that product is about to change. You can't stockpile bread for years, obviously. But here's what you can do. Buy the dry bread mixes or frozen dough products that use ADA. I found 3 frozen dough brands at a restaurant supply store that list it. Bought 6 bags, $23 total. Frozen dough lasts a year easily. After April, those exact products won't be available. Number 6, titanium dioxide, used as a whitening agent in certain candies, gum, coffee creamers, and cake decorating supplies. This one's already banned in the EU as of 2022. The U.S. ban starts April 2026. It's what makes certain white candies super bright white. Skittles, some Mentos varieties, certain chewing gums, specific brands of powdered coffee creamer, and most white cake decorating icings. I checked my pantry last week for products contained it. If you're someone who decorates cakes or you've got specific candy you eat regularly, this is your last call. The replacement ingredient is usually rice starch or calcium carbonate. It works fine, but the color isn't as bright and the texture is slightly different. I bought 10 containers of white cake icing last month, $3 each. They last 18 months unopened. I use them maybe twice a year, so that's 5 years of supply. By the time I run out, I'll be used to the new formulation. But for now, I've got the version I prefer. Why this survives initial panic. Because most people don't connect titanium dioxide to the products they actually use, so they won't think to stockpile them. Number 7 is sitting at your local Asian grocery store right now for under $4, and almost nobody's talking about it. Certain preserved vegetables that use sodium benzoate above the new legal threshold. Starting April 2026, the maximum allowed concentration of sodium benzoate in shelf-stable foods is being cut by 40%. That means specific brands of pickled vegetables, certain Jared kimchi, some brand of sauerkraut, and about half the preserved ginger products on shelves right now won't meet the new standards. I found 12 products at my local H Mart that list sodium benzoate concentrations that will be illegal in 8 months. These are products I use regularly. Preserved radish for fried rice, pickled mustard greens for soup, certain brands of pickled ginger. I bought 3 jars of each. Total cost was $41. These products last 3 years unopened. The new formulations will use different preservatives, probably vinegar-based, which changes the flavor profile completely. If you cook Asian food regularly, walk through your local Asian market this month and check labels. Look for sodium benzoate listed in the first 5 ingredients. If it's there, that product is about to change. Buy a year's supply now. Number 8. Specific artificial sweeteners in sugar-free products. This one's complicated. Acesulfame potassium, or ACE-K, isn't being fully banned, but the concentration limits are being cut by 60% starting April 2026. That means any product using it as a primary sweetener will have to reformulate. I went through my pantry. Certain sugar-free drink mixes, specific protein powders, some sugar-free gum brands, and about half the sugar-free syrups I use for coffee. The new formulations will use different sweetener blends. They'll taste fine to most people, but if you're someone who's sensitive to sweetener aftertaste, you'll notice. I bought 6 containers of my specific protein powder last month. $32 each. That's a 6-month supply for me. By the time I run out, I'll either be using a new formula or I'll have found an alternative. But for now, I've got the version I know works for me. Why this survives panic buying? Because the news will focus on artificial sweeteners generically, and most people won't realize it's only specific products at specific concentrations that are affected. Number 9. Certain spray oils that use soy lecithin as an emulsifier above the new concentration limits. Starting April 2026, soy lecithin concentrations in aerosol cooking sprays are being capped at a lower level due to allergy labeling laws that are changing. This doesn't affect all cooking sprays, but it affects specific brands. I checked my cabinet. Pam Original has it. Crisco spray doesn't. Certain store brands do. Certain don't. The new formulations will work fine, but some of them will have a slightly different spray pattern and a different taste. If you're particular about your cooking spray, check the label. If soy lecithin is listed in the first 3 ingredients, that product might be reformulating. Buy 3 cans. They last 2 years unopened. Cost me $11 for 3 cans last week. By the time these laws kick in, I'll have used them up and moved on to whatever replaces them. Number 10 is something most people don't think about until they need it. Certain canned frosting brands that use TBHQ as a preservative. TBHQ, or tertiary butyl hydroquin, is being phased out starting April 2026. It's what allows canned frosting to sit on a shelf for 18 months without refrigeration. I checked the baking aisle last week. About 60% of canned frosting brands use it. Duncan Hines does. Betty Crocker doesn't in most varieties, but does in some. Store brands are hit or miss. If you're someone who uses canned frosting for birthday cakes or holiday baking, check your preferred brand. If TBHQ is listed, that product is about to change. The new preservatives are less stable, which means shorter shelf life or refrigeration requirements. I bought 8 cans of my preferred brand last month, $2.30 each. They last until 2027, according to the date stamps. That covers every birthday and holiday for the next 2 years. After that, I'll adapt to whatever's available. Number 11. Specific meat seasonings and rubs that use ethoxyquin as a preservative. This one's technical. Ethoxyquin is used in some commercial spice blends to prevent oxidation and extend shelf life. It's already restricted in the EU. The U.S. ban starts April 2026. I found it in 3 specific brands of pre-made meat rubs at my local grocery store and in several bulk spice blends sold at restaurant supply stores. If you've got a specific seasoning blend you use for grilling or smoking meat, check the ingredient list. If a Thoxaquin is there, buy extra now. I bought 4 containers of a specific brisket rub I use, $6 each. They'll last me 3 years easily. The new formulations will probably just use different antioxidants, but the flavor might shift slightly. If you're particular about your barbecue, this is your window. Number 12 is going to sound niche until you realize how many products it's in. BHA and BHT, 2 preservatives used in cereals, crackers, chips, and certain baking mixes. Starting April 2026, concentration limits are being cut by half. That doesn't mean these preservatives are disappearing completely, but it means products that rely heavily on them will have to reformulate. I went through my pantry. Certain store brand crackers use high concentrations. Specific chip brands do. Some granola bars. The products will still exist post-ban, but they'll have shorter shelf lives or different taste profiles. If you've got a specific cracker or a chip your family loves, check the label. If BHA or BHD is in the first 5 ingredients, consider buying a few extra boxes this month. I bought 6 boxes of a specific cracker I eat daily for $1 each. They last 8 months unopened. By the time these laws hit, I'll have rotated through them. Number 13. Certain chocolate products that use PGPR or polyglycerol polyresinolate as an emulsifier above the new legal limits. Starting April 2026, PGPR concentrations in chocolate are being capped lower. This affects specific candy bars, certain chocolate chips, and some baking chocolates. I check labels. About 40% of mass-market chocolate products use it. Hershey's uses it in some products, but not others. Store brands are inconsistent. The new formulations will use more cocoa butter instead, which sounds like a win, but also makes the chocolate more expensive. If you got a specific chocolate product you use regularly, check for PGPR. If it's there, buy extra. I bought 10 bags of specific chocolate chip brand I use for baking, $3.50 each. They last a year in the freezer. Total cost was $35 for a year's supply of exactly the chocolate I prefer. Number 14 is that $6 item I mentioned at the start. Certain instant pudding mixes that use disodium phosphate above the new limits. Starting April 2026, phosphate additives are being capped at lower concentrations across all packaged foods. This affects specific pudding mixes, certain instant mashed potato brands, some boxed mac and cheese products, and a bunch of other convenience foods. I check my pantry. Jell-O brand pudding mixes have it. Store brands vary. The new formulations will set differently and have a slightly different texture. If you got a specific pudding mix you use for pies or family recipes, check the label. If disodium phosphate is listed, buy a dozen boxes now. They last 2 years unopened. I bought 15 boxes of vanilla pudding last month, $1.29 each. Total cost was $19.35. That's enough for every Thanksgiving pie and birthday dessert for the next 2 years. By the time I run out, I'll be used the new version. Number 15. Certain pickles and pickle products that use alum above the new concentration limits. Alum is what makes pickles super crunchy. Starting April 2026, the allowable concentration is being cut. This affects specific pickle brands, certain pickle relishes, and some Jared pickle spears. I checked labels at 3 different stores. About half the pickle brands use alum at concentrations that'll be illegal soon. The new pickles will still be crunchy, just less so. If you're particular about your pickles, this matters. I bought 8 jars of specific dill pickle brand last month, $3.99 each. They last 2 years unopened. That's enough pickles to cover every burger and sandwich for the next 18 months. By the time I run out, I'll either be fine with the new version, or I'll have learned to make my own with the old alum concentrations. Number 16. Specific energy drinks that use high concentrations of synthetic caffeine combined with certain B vitamins above the new cumulative limits. This is a complicated regulatory change. Starting April 2026, the combined total of synthetic caffeine and certain B vitamin forms can exceed a specific threshold per serving. This affects about 30% of energy drinks currently on shelves. I checked the convenience store near me. Bang energy drinks are affected. Certain Monster varieties, some store brands. The new formulations will have less caffeine per serving or different vitamin blends. If you're someone who drinks these regularly, check your specific product. If it lists both synthetic caffeine and cyanocobalamin or pyridoxine hydrochloride in high doses, it's probably getting reformulated. Buy a case of your exact preferred product now. I don't drink energy drinks regularly, but I bought one case for emergencies, 24 cans for $32. They last a year. By the time these laws hit, I'll have used them or given them away. Number 17 is something I didn't even realize was getting hit until I dug into the technical documents. Certain shelf-stable whip toppings that use specific stabilizer combinations. Starting April 2026, products that use both carrageenan and polysorbate 60 above certain combined concentrations have to reformulate. This affects Cool Whip Original and several store-brand versions. The new formulations will use different stabilizers. They'll still whip and taste fine, but the texture will be slightly different and the shelf life will be shorter. If you're someone who uses whip topping for desserts regularly, buy extra tubs now. They last a year in the freezer. I bought 6 tubs last month, $2.50 each. $15 total for a year's supply of exactly the product I'm used to. Number 18 is the one that surprised me most when I found it. Certain Jared pasta sauces that use dimethylsilicone as an anti-foaming agent above the new limits. Starting April 2026, dimethylsilicone concentrations are being capped lower. I found it in about 20% of Jared pasta sauces, specifically certain store brands and a few national brands. The new formulations will foam slightly more during cooking, which doesn't really matter, but they might also have different thickness or texture. If you got a specific Jared sauce you love, check the label. If dimethylsilicone or dimethylpolysiloxane is listed, consider buying extra jars. I bought 12 jars of specific marinara I use regularly, $2.79 each. They last 18 months unopened. That's enough sauce for every pasta night for the next 6 months. By the time I run out, the new formulations will be normal. While everyone else is panicking about headlines and focusing on the obvious stuff, you now know 18 specific products that are about to change or disappear completely. These aren't hypotheticals. These are confirmed regulatory changes with a hard deadline. Most of these products are sitting fully stocked on shelves right now because almost nobody's connecting the dots between new food laws and the specific jar of pickles I buy every month. Drop a comment and tell me which of these you're stocking up on first, or if there's a product I missed that you think is getting hit by these laws. Next week, I'm covering the 7 foods everyone thinks are getting banned but actually aren't, and why the panic buy around them is completely misdirected. You don't want to miss that one.